Well, it's another crazy week of wondering what's going to come up next for Paramount Plus, celebrating quite a few anniversaries and birthdays this week, plus more interviews from the red carpet of the Saturn Awards and one from the SCAD TV Fest. Plus, of course, a few tidbits just for us. This is the Star Trek Void, where I try to fill in the gaps between episodes with some news and information and hopefully a little bit of entertainment. And first off, is a celebration of Picard Season 3. Yes, it's been a year, as of yesterday, I believe, since Picard Season 3 premiered. And wow, it did so well at the Saturn Awards. It was well received by nearly all fans. And this post is shared by Dave Blass. It says, 1 year ago today, Star Trek Picard Season 3 premiered. No one wanted the fat one, and no one liked that new guy Shaw. Todd Stashwick, of course. All of that was about to change. Thanks to all the fans around the world for celebrating our work for the last year. Thank you, Terry Metalis. And of course, you know I loved how Season 3 played out for Picard and all the discussions it's brought up for new series. But we'll get to that. We've got more birthdays. There were tons this last week, and one today. First off, we are remembering Catherine Hayes on her birthday. Capt Matthew Fagan shares, I can't imagine this episode with anyone else. It really was I remember when I was a kid, she's so silent and yet there's so much happening. So expressive and just a fantastic performer. And we also celebrated Jerry Goldsmith this past week. This one shared by TrekMovie.com. On his birthday, we remember the great composer Jerry Goldsmith, who wrote the musical scores for 5 Star Trek movies and the main title themes of Star Trek TNG and Star Trek Voyager. What's your favorite Goldsmith score? You know what? I always did kind of like the Voyager one. I won't lie. I really enjoyed the series itself. I'm Katie and my name's Catherine and I'm from Indiana, so I claim that that's part of the reason why, but I really enjoyed the adventures. And to celebrate such a great composer, I'm so glad he was part of my show. This is fantastic. I love the artwork that goes with this as well. And that's a nice image of him too. Christopher McDonald also celebrates a birthday this week. Also, this one is by TrekMovies.com. Happy birthday to Christopher McDonald, who played Lieutenant Richard Castillo. Hashtag Ballers, The Good Wife, and Mr. Iglesias. I really enjoyed that episode because I liked Tasha Yar, so it was really glad to see her again. But yeah, he's a familiar face, and so happy birthday to Chris. And also a happy birthday to Simon Pegg, who picked up the reins of Scotty in our reboots. This one is also from TrekMovie.com. Very Trek movie, this one. Happy birthday to Simon Pegg, who played Scotty in all 3 of the Kelvin Timeline Star Trek movies and co-wrote the 3rd one, Star Trek Beyond, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The Dark Crystal, The Boys, Mission Impossible. Fantastic to have him be part of this family because he's just a fantastic actor. And speaking of fantastic actors, it's also the birthday of Andrew Robinson. Happy birthday to Andrew Robinson, who played Garrick on Deep Space Nine. He also directed one DS9 episode and wrote 2 episodes of Voyager, and wrote the novel A Stitch in Time, which tells the story of Garrick's past. Good read. And so happy birthday to Andrew Robinson. Did get a chance to speak with him in person. Such a nice guy. And another remembrance post here from TrekMovies.com. On her birthday, we remember Meg Wiley, who played the Keeper in the very first Star Trek pilot, The Cage. So yeah, everybody knows The Cage. The Menagerie was, of course, created from it. And so really a phenomenal icon of Star Trek. Speaking of which, I do have one more birthday to talk about. That's LeVar Burton, who of course plays Geordi LaForge in TNG and of course in Picard. This one again, TrekMovie.com. Happy birthday, author, activist, podcaster, legend LeVar Burton, Geordi LaForge on Star Trek TNG and in 4 films, 1 Star Trek Voyager episode, and Star Trek Picard. He has directed 29 Star Trek episodes, including TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. LeVar Burton Reed. Of course, if you're my generation, you may have met him for the first time on TNG, or you may have grown up with him on Reading Rainbow. When I was growing up, my little sister, who is dyslexic, we would come straight home, turn on the TV, and catch the last 20 minutes of Reading Rainbow on the local PBS channel. He was a big part of our life, not just because of The Next Generation, but because he helped introduce my younger sister to books, made it come alive a bit more. But yeah, just wonderful man. So glad to celebrate his birthday. He is an incredible legend, and I'm going to do one more legend image here. And that is going to be this picture that came through my feed earlier this week. It's shared by Gary Gorn. I love the name. Nichelle Nichols, the queen of Star Trek, and two unknown fans. Don't know who these guys are, complete strangers to me. Hope they make do in their life somehow. But yeah, we've got Nichelle Nichols, obviously sitting with Ethan Peck and Anson Mount, probably at some sort of convention there, some sort of gathering, because there's tons of images in front of them, looks like to be autographed. But what a great thing to have actually met her. I did not have that privilege, and so I just wanted to share this because it came up on my feed before I switch to what is undoubtedly annoying but unsurprising news, because there's more info on what's going on with Paramount and its future. Because this is the gift that keeps on giving. Paramount, once again, another company, another idea of how they could move forward, this time by teaming up their streaming service with Peacock. And I have to say, given all the business stuff aside, whether the company shares are purchased by the Allen Group, by Warner Brothers, Discovery, or if they're picked up by Skydance, the idea that Paramount Plus and Peacock would team up to stream the different shows on both services, I think is a good idea. One, because I subscribe to both. My husband is very much an Office person. I watch Law and Order, but not when it airs. I always watch the streaming service after. I also like Peacock picking up the Hallmark stuff. So I have no problem with this because it would save me a subscription cost. But it also might bring together more of our Star Trek shows, because these two working together might streamline their services and bring down costs. It also may give a better future to our Star Trek show hopefuls. Not Academy, not Section 31. We know those are happening. But of course, I'm talking about not just legacy. It might make it easier to pick up movies that show in theaters, not just on streaming services. So I do think that this idea, if it comes to fruition, might actually work in our favor. Now, this takes nothing away from the fact that Skydance, the Allen Group, and also Warner Brothers, Discovery are still vying for those shares. This would strictly affect the streaming service, and I'm in for this one. It's all right. So it says right here, Paramount Global is under intense pressure to show a profit growth to investors. And so this is part of why teaming these two up would be helpful. Neither one of them are high up on the streaming services list of go-to apps. But working together, it would bring down costs, and by merging all of the different properties into one easy access application, they not only bring down their costs, but bring in possibly more viewers and can encourage new viewers to shows that already exist. Now, as this article does state, a special committee has been put together to assess all of these options. But whatever does happen, again, this article does state it's going to be a crazy year and a year of change for Paramount and Paramount Plus. We can all hold our breaths and see what happens. So I'm very interested to see how this all plays out in the end. And until that does happen, there is, of course, more Star Trek to come. Let's talk about Strange New Worlds. And it's only actor to walk away with a Saturn Award, though, of course, there were nominations for both Jess Bush and Celia, so it was a good season of Strange New Worlds. But, of course, Paul Wesley got a little bit of extra acknowledgement for his portrayal as Kirk. Now, I've said before in the first season, I just didn't buy it. I'd watched Vampire Diaries. Maybe I just couldn't get past the whole Stefan of it all. But really, I think this second season, he kind of made Kirk his own. And of course, with that win, it's easy to see that I'm not the only one who felt that way. The questions here do include how he stepped into the role first season compared to how he stepped into it second season. And I love the answer he gives about the comparison. Yeah, to be honest with you, what I liked was that it kind of wasn't the real Kirk in the first episode. So I was like, okay, let me get my footing, let me see what's happening here, because this is a Kirk that exists in an alternate reality. And I think once I got a little settled, then I approached season 2 in a completely different way, and I was able to sort of maybe learn from those mistakes. And I love, for me, Kirk evolves, and Kirk is constantly evolving, and is evolving because he's growing up. He's not the Kirk that we know from the original series. So I'm able to just sort of do things that perhaps an actor wouldn't be able to do if it was the exact same time period. And so I'm really grateful that I can sort of gradually grow into the character. And I think personally, that's what I had trouble with. I could not see him as Kirk last year. It's just was too difficult. And putting him out of, the normal ship setting into the 21st century, it really kind of helped me see him grow into the character a little bit more. And so I can see why he was not only nominated, but won. Now, this interview does go on to ask him kind of an interesting question. Would he be ready to take on a series of his own once Pike was gone? Trek Movie asks, your reoccurring role could be seen as the longest backdoor pilot for your own show. Let's say after a few years of Pike, Henry, or whoever is like, it's time for you to take over. Would you do a series regular starring role? And I'm not going to quote Paul on this part, but he does say he would love to be a series regular and have a main character role in the show, but he doesn't necessarily see himself as the one taking over. He recognized that Pike has a hard out, as they put it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a hard out soon. It's got a while. And Paul is happy to play Kirk on Strange New Worlds, but he does say, so far, no scenes with Scotty. I also enjoyed this article because it does talk about his comparison between the Star Trek fans and the Vampire Diary fans. You may or may not be aware that he was in a starring role for the Vampire Diaries for 8 seasons and has been to several conventions for that show. Coming to Star Trek conventions and seeing these kind of fans, he says, it is a bit different. We aren't quite so fangirl and fanboy about it. We have more intelligent questions revolving around the character and his growth rather than just, oh my gosh, you're so cute. So that's really nice to see that we're acknowledged just slightly more adult than teeny boppers. Go us. Though admittedly, I did see all 8 seasons of the Vampire Diaries and the 2 spinoffs. So, call me a fangirl. Life's rough. And here is a new season 5 poster for Discovery in its final season with some clues. A lot of people are taking a look at the symbols and deciding that there is a connection between those and an episode of TNG. We'll have to wait and see, but some good news about the premiere of Discovery is that we will get a double dose. That's right, 2 episodes on the first day, and then, of course, an episode each for the following 8 weeks. And during this interview on the red carpet of the SCAD TV Festival, Sonequa tells us a little bit more about Discovery's final bits they had to record. There were a few close calls because we only had, in addition to the limited time to write it, we also had a very limited time to shoot it. So yes, everything was tenuous. Everything was, oh man, this has got to work because it's our only opportunity. You know what I mean? And so we worked crazy hours just to make sure that we got everything because there was that sense of like, if we don't get it now, we ain't ever going to get it. But thankfully, everything worked out and we got everything in there. So as stated before, because they found out last minute that this would be the final season, those last minute changes had to be rushed. And I applaud the writers, the actors, the crew, everybody for putting in that extra time so that we as fans would hopefully get a more satisfying ending. And continuing in this article, Sonequa says the same thing. She gives it up to the writers, to everybody who put in that extra time. Now, this article is from Cineblend, and of course, like all things, you can find that in the sources below, so please take the time to read the full ones. I've got another article, though, to show you, and this one is about Jeri Ryan and how another Jery would be really happy with the direction of her character. This article is a TrekMovie.com one, and it says, interview Jeri Ryan on taking Seven from Borg to buy Captain of the Enterprise to Star Trek Legacy. Course, I want to read a little bit about that. Now, this article from TrekMovie.com does cover a lot of stuff about Jeri and her past as Seven. She's been through the Saturn Awards before for 7 of 9 through Voyager. And after all of the fun red carpet stuff and winning, this is a little discussion that took place. It says, quick chat with Jeri in the press room after she won the Saturn Award. And this, I think, is the best part of all of the conversations. Looking back to Voyager, how do you think co-creator, executive producer Jeri Taylor would feel about where Seven has gone and the rejuvenation of the character in Picard? And Ryan answers with, I think Jeri especially would be thrilled with Seven's development. I know that she was a big champion for Seven from the beginning, and I think that she would be thrilled that Seven is a bi-captain and character. It is my understanding that is something she championed from the beginning as well. I think at the time the network felt that they weren't ready for that yet, but I think she would be thrilled. I hope she would be. So yeah, another instance of a character becoming what it was originally dreamed up to be, possibly. We saw that with the prosthetics now available for Klingons and other aliens. We've seen more acceptance of characters that are of the LGBTQ IA plus group, and really other communities that are often disenfranchised or ignored. They are always, they seem to be anyway, represented on Star Trek. Trek movie did ask one other very important question. But if Legacy happened, are you ready to go? I certainly like her one-word answer. Sure. And while we're talking about Jery, let's talk about her upcoming birthday. I struggled with whether or not to include this with birthdays, but this is an upcoming birthday, and our Letters for Legacy group is pushing an initiative to celebrate Jery. Jeri Ryan's birthday initiative is, of course, what it's called. It's the time of year where Jeri Ryan, our captain in and out of the screen in many senses, will celebrate the day of her birth on February 22nd. For that reason, Letters for Legacy hopes you praise her by writing a poem, a text, or creating some fantastic fan art for her. Let the world know about this amazing human being by using the tag Captain 7 or Star Trek Legacy. May she soon return to the chair in the middle. So if you'd like to express your love for Jery, this is the week coming up to do it. Expect some of the artists to be featured here on this channel, but expect them also to be shared all over Instagram and X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much social media everywhere. And if you see that meme anywhere, make sure to share it so everybody can join in on the fun. And while I'm chatting about Legacy and Letters for Legacy, I want to tell you where one of our representatives is right now. So one of our representatives, Maria, is at this convention right now, Sci-Fi Mad, and this is in Madrid. She has a booth or table, whatever she was able to get. I'm not sure what the specifics are, but she is there trying to gather more reps and trying to gather more signatures for Legacy. If you would like to join us, you can always visit this website. It gives you full instruction on how to send a letter and who to. But right now, Maria is trying to get as many signatures on as many letters as she can while she spreads the word and gathers more people to the cause of getting Star Trek Legacy made for our screens. With Captain 7 in the chair, Michelle Hurd, of course, playing Rafi as her number one, and we would, of course, want Ed Spilliers to come back and reprise his role as Jack Crusher, special counselor to the captain. I myself am heading to one in Indianapolis in March. If you'd like to help me get there, get the table, get supplies, I'm only just under $200 short of my $1,200 goal. If you'd like to help me reach that last bit so I can make sure I have posters, cards, pencils, pens, things that people need to sign letters, things I need to help spread the word of Legacy throughout the convention, please follow the link below. Again, I am exceedingly close. Volunteers who come and help at this convention will also be getting one of these hats or one of these shirts, depending on what they'd prefer. So if you're going to be at the Indiana Comic-Con and want to help me gather signatures, make sure to hit me up in the comments below or on any of my social media. Before I go, I do want to thank those that have donated this week so far. That is Eileen Pearson, thank you so much, and Christine Duffy. Both of them are my Outlander viewers, so I want to thank my Outlander viewers for helping to back up this Star Trek dream. And if you haven't got enough Star Trek information and news, please check out one of my other videos right here after my goof-ups. Yeah, you're going to see me mess up a lot. I hope you enjoy that. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you check out one of those other videos, I'll see you there. Happy birthday to Christopher McDonald, who played Lieutenant Rich. I can't say the words out at the same time. On Star Trek TNG. And am I saying TNJ? It's going to be a crazy year, a changing year into the 22nd century. Trek movie asks. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze. Now, of course, some more of our group are still going to conventions. I myself am headed. Now, of course, more of our group are headed to conventions in our area. I myself is. I keep saying I myself is. Before I go, I do want to help. Before I go. Goodness, I can't talk today.